Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well this Tuesday morning. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you check out the Discord channel, completely free to join. Link to that in the description below and also at the top of the chat as well. You can find updates there, chat with other traders, share ideas there too. So if you are interested, make sure you head over and check it out. Like I said, free to join. But guys, hope everyone is well. Good morning, Matt. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. What is up? Joel, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Ahmed, good morning. As always, hope you are well. So as always, guys, we'll go through the USD side of things first. Dollar, USD majors, gold, silver. Any requests, let me know, put it down in the chat, we'll discuss, see what's happening. After I do take a look at some of the USD pairs, I'll go through the watch list, and I did take a position on Euro Yen as well, so I will go through that as well. But of course, any requests, and of course, any time frames as well. Predominantly, I'll focus mainly on the 4-hour daily chart, but if you do want me to drop a lot lower or higher, do not be afraid to let me know. But we'll start with the dollar, as always. So this one did close pretty bearish yesterday. I mean, not anything crazy, but we did see a bearish candle on the daily chart. And as I mentioned yesterday, this support level, which looks like it's just about still holding, needs to still be respected. If price could hold this level and see some upside from here, I would expect to see a bullish dollar this week. If price does manage to break through this level, then I'll be looking at a bearish dollar this week and probably a pushback to support there. And then we'll go again, because even if we do break to the downside and we see a pushback to the low, it doesn't change my expectation that the dollar still needs that bigger retracement and still likely to see that bigger retracement pretty soon. It just means that we'll probably have another bearish swing, maybe price mess around for a little bit, and then eventually we have that bigger pullback, or maybe on the next wave after that. That's why reversals are so difficult to predict, because you don't know necessarily when it's going to happen. It might be on this swing, it could be in two. You might see another couple bearish moves lower before that does happen. But so far, I would still say that price is still just about holding on to support. Nothing impressive though. If we could see a strong bullish candle similar to the bearish candle coming down yesterday, if we could see a strong bullish candle pushing back up, then that would give me confidence that says, okay, dollar is well and truly holding onto that support level at 99, and we could be seeing a bit of a rally from that. Because what I'm looking at is this inverse head and shoulder pattern. There's your left shoulder, there's your head, and there's your right shoulder. So price is going to reject this. I need to see some momentum come back into the market. Right now, we've had a pretty strong drop and very correct to move back up. This could be a correction for price to continue falling. So I do need to see some momentum come back into the market for me to be more confident with the dollar buys. At the moment, I'm kind of just eyeballing it really to see what happens. Again, I'm still expecting USD strength, but after that move yesterday and the fact that we haven't seen much reaction, does make me a little bit more conservative with that bias. But perhaps we see a bullish dollar. We do have some USD news later that could potentially provide some strength for us. And if you see a strong close, well, then I do expect us to see that rally. And again, in terms of shorting the dollar, which I still think is the bigger move for USD, I'm still wanting to see a much bigger pullback into areas like these, 101.5 and 103.5, 104, basically anywhere within that range. But I want to focus on the low here for now. So those are the areas I want to see price push towards. But again, we'll see if we actually get that rejection I'm looking for. If things stay sluggish and slow, we probably will just roll over. So momentum is a real important factor that I do need to see here for the dollar if we are going to get that retracement. In terms of euro, pretty much the same situation in terms of I'm still looking for retracement to the downside. We've got potentially a bit of a head and shoulder pattern forming. Left over there's your head, and of course looking for that right shoulder to form. We've got a lovely level running through the market here on the 4-hour chart. I'm looking to see if we can push into that. We just about missed it yesterday. So I'm looking to see if we can have a deeper test of that area, perhaps put that right shoulder in, and perhaps give us that sell. And of course, that will rely on what USD does as well. If USD does respect support, that will help out Euro. If USD does keep falling, well, Euro probably will break through this level and again push back to highs in a similar fashion to the DXY as well. Of course, they're very correlated, those two markets. But yeah, Euro still do have that short-term bearish bias. Again, I'm still very much a bull for Euro. I do expect high prices in the long term, but I'm not willing to buy Euro until we have a decent pullback. We've had, a couple bearish days. The downside there, not much, taking into consideration how bullish Euro has been the past few days, few weeks. I do need to see some type of meaningful down move before I can start to position myself long. So the retracement is what I'm after, and some buying opportunities later on is what I'm actually looking to trade. But if we can hold that right shoulder, there could be some nice shorts there on the lower time frames. In terms of pound USD, same situation with this one as well. In fact, pound USD was pretty bullish yesterday. Pound was quite strong, and we did see a bit of a rally yesterday. Really strong move there during the US session, but it looks like price is starting to struggle at the highs. And again, if you zoom out to the daily chart, you can still see we're trading in that area there as well. Now, I do think price will eventually break through this level, as I've been mentioning, but I've been wanting to see a retracement first before I do look to buy pound. And again, nothing's really changed with that outlook pretty much. 1.315, 1.3. That's still roughly the areas I'm waiting for price to come back into before I can start really talking about buying pound USD back up again and expecting higher prices. Again, I've mentioned 1.4. I do think that's a long-term target for us there for pound USD. I do think the current uptrend's still got a lot more to give, but I'm not going to be buying pound as we approach resistance like we're doing now, especially for swing bias. Again, if you're intraday, you can have a bit more joy there because you're going to be in and out, not sitting in trades too long. But if you're looking to swing pound USD and hold it for a number of days, well, you might run into a bit of trouble there. The market's quite overextended, hitting big levels. That's not really what you want to be seeing if you want to keep buying pounds. So still looking for that pullback. At the moment, we have looked pretty bullish. Maybe you do break the highs first before we do pull back. That's a possibility. There might be some short-term buys as we come back into this range here. This is where all the momentum came from yesterday. So there might be a short-term bounce off that level. But again, I'll keep it very short and sweet. If you're looking for any long-term plays with pound, then I would wait for at least a pullback into 1.315 and potentially even 1.3. If I expand to the daily chart, whip out a fib, kind of see where we are in relation to price there. So you got the 50 there, 0.618. So these are the areas I want price to pull back close towards before I do start looking to buy. So still waiting on pound USD pullbacks. Market is still quite bullish, so we'll see if that does continue to rally or respects that level. But I do want to see some downside for myself to keep buying it. And in terms of dollar CAD, this one again a little bit bearish yesterday as well, but I did mention on the weekend that we might be seeing another flush to the downside there for dollar CAD, given how price is moving, kind of forming this descending channel here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do have another push to the downside. But again, dollar CAD running out of steam, becoming more corrective. I do think the bigger move for dollar CAD is a retracement higher. I do think long term we still can see much lower prices. I'm looking at these major swing points, one over there, second over there. I'm looking for a third, whether it's the retest of this low or the retest of this low. That'll be up to dollar CAD. But I think these are both two really good levels to keep an eye on for some swing opportunities. But in the meantime, there might be some buys to take advantage of that retracement. I'm not so much interested because I'm expecting the bigger move to be with the seller. So I'd rather just wait for that opportunity than try and find a short-term trade. Sometimes I will entertain if things look really good, but it's not looking really good there for dollar CAD. It hasn't really formed yet either. So we'll have to wait and see how that happens. But like I said, dollar CAD, I won't be surprised if you do sell off one more time before we do rally to the upside there. But this here is really the move I'm after, which is still probably a few days away. Aussie dollar, I still like this one. A little bit bullish last night. We pushed back into resistance there. But it does look like price is really struggling to break through. So perhaps, maybe, finally, now's the time for Aussie dollar to retrace. Against the same old with this one. I still do expect a lot more upside for this one. We've had a lovely bullish rally in the past few days, but I'm looking for a bit of a correction of that. Nothing crazy before we do continue higher. And there's a couple areas I'm looking at. Support down here at 0.623 and this resistance level, which hopefully will be turned support as well, around 0.632. So those are the two levels I'm considering buying Aussie dollar from. But of course, we need price to get there first before I can even monitor the price action there. But yeah, a bit of a rally yesterday. It looks like we're really failing at the highs, so perhaps we are falling a bit of a top now. So hopefully we can see a bit of a drop. I'm not so keen on the sells. I think this is not a bad time to short if you are looking to short Aussie dollar. But like I said, I'm very interested in the longs. So simply just waiting for price to come to me. And then if things look good, hopefully I can get some entries to take this one higher. And the USD, same situation pretty much. Again, it looks like price is really struggling at the highs here. We are forming these lower highs on the lower time frames. So again, kind of signaling to us that price is running out of steam and perhaps could be looking at a bit of a sell. Get to the daily chart. We've had a humongous rally, so rightly so. We were due a pullback and retested that resistance. That looks really, really good for a buy opportunity. So again, waiting for price to get there. Not too far away. I think it's a pretty realistic expectation for a retracement. We're not looking for too much. And if I could see a suitable rejection, I'll be more than happy to slap some positions on and targets at least back to where we came from, back to the high. But I think we could go a lot further than that as well. So yeah, New Zealand dollar longs, Aussie dollar longs, I've been mentioning them at least a week or two now. Of course, they've been slowly grinding, so that's been a little bit of a annoyance, but hopefully now we do get some decent pullbacks for them. Heading over to gold. So gold, this one was a little bit bullish yesterday, respecting a nice level of support. I said I'm still quite bullish on gold, but I do want to see some lower prices before I do entertain a long. So this level here and this level here both look really good to me. Both we've had really substantial breakouts, no retest of these areas. So if we do pull back, it'll be the first time that price does get back to these areas and we could see a bounce from them. Judging price action here, we had a pretty big bearish move. We are still kind of forming lower highs, so I do think there's still a little bit of room to the downside here for Aussie, not for Aussie dollar, sorry, for gold. And yeah, if we can see good reactions from this area, then I'll be looking for some longs there, and likewise with 3160 just below us as well. Now again, I'm being a little bit flexible with targets and my expectations with buying gold here. Gold is still very much in a bullish market. No major red flags on the higher time frames either, so I still like the idea of taking gold higher, but gold is definitely overextended and definitely overbought and needs a major retracement at some point. Whether it happens now or maybe the next wave or the wave after that, we have no idea. So I like the buys because there's still a lot of momentum in the market. There's still that possibility that we could swing back to highs and further. So the risk reward makes it worth the while. It will be a situation where I probably will just trail stops and not really have a target, because gold in this climate, you just don't know what to expect. It might be a small move, it could be a huge move, and you want to leave yourself the potential to take advantage of a big move should it happen. But yeah, if gold does have a push for a couple days, falls another low high and rolls over again, I wouldn't be surprised as well, because perhaps maybe it's time for that bigger reversal to happen. But for now, still keeping close eyes on those buys there. And of course, you got your lovely silver, which seems to be looking a little bit bullish as well. I talked about some short-term buys with silver. Again, I actually like buys long-term with silver, but at the moment we're moving very, very correctively in this channel here. We've got a huge area of supply to our left, so I don't really want to be buying into that. And especially with us moving very correctively, that's a sign that we could very much be looking to sell off again. And yeah, as a swing trader, not the best place to position yourself long. Short term, I did speak about some buys here yesterday that, keep an eye on price. If you can see a nice shift in momentum, there could be some nice buys back into resistance. It looks like we might see that. It was a nice close this morning, but I'm not sure how far we can go from there. We might come into resistance, turn around, we might see a new high, then turn around. Or maybe I'm wrong, maybe we just rally straight through. That could be a situation as well. But I'm not so confident about holding anything long term from a buyer's perspective in this area, just because coming to major resistance, major supply, this is where the momentum came from. Not the best place to be entering, especially when we've already had a pretty decent move to the upside as well. So I do want to see a bit of a flush to the downside, higher lows forming. Maybe something like that is what I get involved and take some buys from. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD side of things at the moment. I'm still pretty much bullish on the dollar short term. I am still mainly looking to sell the dollar, but I need some pullbacks, and we haven't really seen that happen yet. So staying patient for that. Anyway, where was I? Morning, UD. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. What's up, Lighton? Good to have you on the stream. Hope you're well. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Lebzy, what's up? Should you have an overall outlook on dollar yen? Can you please provide your buys for the week? Yes, I will go through dollar yen, no problem. Ivan, good morning, my man. Hope you are well. Matt, what's up? I like Aussie dollar short at the moment. Okay, I like that wick from last night. Yeah, it was a nice wick as well. I feel like we are in the final stages of this distribution. I just want one more push to around 0.64, 650-ish and rejection before entry. I like the idea as well. I did take a look at that rejection this morning as well. It looked pretty nice. I'm more focused with the buy, so that's kind of what I'm waiting for. But it does look like Aussie dollar's running out of steam. We can't keep chugging on forever. It's going to hit a brick wall at some point, and it's going to turn around. And maybe that rejection on the 4-hour chart is a sign that potentially we've already done that. I'll go take a look in a second. I'll just go through dollar yen for Lebzy, and then I'll go through Aussie dollar. But I do agree. So USD JPY. So yeah, with dollar yen, in terms of my week's outlook, I've been looking for some more upside for dollar yen because we've had a pretty big bearish move, for instance. For the past few weeks, we've been falling to the downside for a while, since the start of the year, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, since Jan. And we've come back into a pretty big level of support. So I've been looking for price to have a bit of a reaction to the upside. We did have one last week. You can see price wicked into the level, pull back, close pretty bullish. So I'm looking to see if we can continue that momentum from last week. I spoke about some buy opportunities as we approach this area here. Now we've come back into that level. We've seen some type of reaction. I'm not quite convinced yet, to be honest. It's a nice initial reaction from that zone. But if I was looking to really find a nice trade here, I probably want price to actually push back into the level, maybe have a stronger rejection, maybe a long wick or a stronger shift in momentum, a stronger close to give me confidence that support is holding. Because what I'm looking at is, there's your bullish move, there's your correction, and the continuation is what I would be looking to try and trade. Because if price does have a successful rejection or support here on the weekly chart, I do think we can make it at least to some of these levels here, 147, even 149, 150 up there. The two prior occasions we had rejections from this level, we saw pretty big moves. So a push back to this area is not such a big ask from price. I do think something like that could happen if we do have a decent rejection from that low. So I'm looking to see what we can do here. We've had a slight rejection, like I said. We're looking semi-bullish, but not really seeing much momentum or any significance in the rejection there. So I wouldn't be rushing into a position there. What would be nice is if we were to sell off again, respect support again, form some type of double bottom, wicks, strong shift momentum, that will give me confidence for a buy. Then yeah, I mean, keeping it relatively simple, targets back at the high there, not anything crazy, and you can potentially hold positions to run back to some major targets, which we just mentioned on the daily chart there, 147, 149 potentially. But something like that makes a lot of sense to me. And if this support level doesn't hold, then we're coming back into the low, then we can see again what price does there. Because it might be a big kind of double bottom we could form as well. But I'm looking to see if we can form a higher low. Again, bit more of a aggressive position because momentum is with the bears. So I would still deem this as counter trend, even though we are coming from a nice level. So we do want to see some significant rejections to actually tell us, okay, support is really holding, buys are stepping in, or likely to push higher. At the moment, I don't really see that happening just yet, but that's kind of my take on dollar yen this week. And in terms of Aussie dollar, so yeah, I do agree with this one. It looks like it is running out a bit of steam. I like the wick there to the upside as well. Lovely wick rejection in the 4-hour chart. Price tried to break through, piercing to the upside. And by the end of the week, we pull back and close, not end of the week, sorry. End of the 4-hour candle, we pull back and close bearish. So it was a really nice rejection at the high. Market looks really, really fatigued right now. Now we had a lot of momentum previously over here, but as time went on, we've become more and more and more corrective. And now we're seeing more signs of rejection as well. So I do think this is actually a nice time to go short. The stops above the wick. Matt, you said you're looking for one more push to 64650. Whereabouts is that? 64650. Okay, so you're looking for price to push one more time to create some new highs, then a sell. Yeah, that could look good as well. If it does that again and see another rejection at the high, I think that would be a really nice opportunity to short as well. I really like the rejection here. I feel like this could be like a nice double top for us to roll over. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a move to the downside from there. Like I said, I'm not really focused with the sells because the way I see it, that's the short-term move in the market for us to continue higher. Of course, I could be wrong. Maybe my bias is wrong. Maybe we do fall off a cliff and come back down. But the way I see price and how we've kind of mapped out on the higher time frames, I do think this is a bit of a bottom for us to see a lot more upside in the near future. So if we can come down, that is great. I do think that will give us a nice opportunity to find some buys where we can sit in it for a while. So that's really what I'm interested in. But yeah, I'm expecting the Aussie dollar to pull back. I've been expecting to pull back for the past week and a half or 2 weeks now. So we are definitely due a move down. Same thing with the USD as well. And that one looks pretty fatigued as well. A lot of wicks, lower highs there. If we can continue that, certainly if we can break through this support level, then we should be in business. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. But hopefully we can actually see that pullback because, I mean, to be honest, the more it kind of continues, the more kind of chugs to the upside, the longer it takes to actually see that down move, the better quality the position is most of the time. Because as we kind of grind higher, it's inviting more and more sellers in, which are providing liquidity. They'll be getting stopped out above the highs as well. There'll be less and less buyers that are taking price high, and then eventually price will eventually correct itself. So it's about trying to catch when that pivot point is, when that price actually turns, which is pretty difficult to do, and might take you a couple attempts. Get stopped out, and then maybe you catch the trade. But the idea is that the reward is worth the risk. If this does really drop and correct itself, you should be getting 2, 3, 4, maybe even more times your risk on that position. So it's worth the while. But yeah, as we continue to grind, I'm expecting us to drop pretty hard here, but still, I do think the bigger move is to the upside. What's up, Tony Gold? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. Okay, agree. I'm looking to pick up Aussie dollar around 0.625. Yeah, that's similar to me, to be fair. I like 0.632, 0.62425 roughly. roughly. Those are the areas which I'll be loving to pick up. Aussie dollar, likewise with New Zealand dollar as well. A pullback into that level, I think that'll be a nice place for a buy. Of course, they're very similar pairs, so I'll just see which one sets up better, but they both look really, really good to me. Anyway, I did jump into a long position on Euro yen on the daily chart. I've got a pretty wide stop loss because I'm trying to get myself away from all the noise. So I've got my stop loss right at the high. And I'm looking to see if I can finally catch the rollover for this one, because we got a nice rejection on the daily chart. Ideally, I want to have entered on the 4-hour chart so I can get my entry a little bit tighter and maximize my risk reward a little bit better, but there was no sufficient entry signal on the 4-hour chart. So I just waited to see how the daily candle will close, just about bearish engulfing. I like the wicks to the upside, and I like the fact that I can get my stop loss above the high. And it's still a decent risk reward, looking for at least a 1 to 3 back into the lows. But I do think I can probably trail stops a little bit further if things go very, very well for me. But I have to wait and see for that to happen. But yeah, so far, we've been rejecting this area on a few occasions. We came back again yesterday, another strong rejection. So I've hopped into a position, put my stops above the high. And yeah, looking to see if we can get that rollover to the downside. A lot of noise in here. So I'm not expecting clean price action in this area. As long as we don't break resistance, more importantly, as long as we don't break the high here on the left, I retain that bearish bias, because this is one high, that's your low, that's your second lower high, that's your low. And kind of looking for this here to be your third, and again, new low, and so on and so forth. So that's the idea. We can push back into resistance again, but if we go and break through structure there, well, probably I will have to rethink things and rethink that bias. But yeah, so far I'm really bearish on Euro yen. I'm looking also at this higher time frame head and shoulder pattern here, left head, right shoulder. I'm looking to see if that can roll over as well, and that'll probably give me the bigger break of structure which I'm looking for. So this is definitely more of a longer term swing position. Again, ideally, hopefully I could have get a better entry for the trade, but unfortunately with the way the 4-hour candles were shaping up, it wasn't really giving me what I wanted in terms of shift of momentum. But the daily candle, I did like the close, and the fact that we're right up against the level means I can get a safer stop loss. So we'll see how that position does map out. Again, it's on a daily candle, so I won't really be looking too much on an intraday level, just mainly seeing how the next few daily candles close and how that goes. But another yen pair, which again I said I'm keeping an eye on, is pound yen. And this is not too far away from 192, 193, which is the zone we mentioned last week, or probably actually the week before that. This kind of supply area, which kickstarted this lovely flush to the downside. Again, looking to see if we can return to that area and then potentially form another lower high as well. Again, same kind of idea with Euro yen. Price is giving us some bearish structure. High, low, lower high, lower low, another lower high, another lower low. So again, looking for that pattern to repeat. As long as pound yen doesn't take out the high here, I stay bearish. If we go and take out that high, I stand corrected. At that point, we've got a clean break of structure. I wouldn't be bearish anymore, or at least in the same way I was before. So yeah, looking to see what pound yen can do there. I don't mind getting in pound yen as well as Euro yen, because my stop loss is quite wide with Euro yen, so I wouldn't mind entering pound yen as well if things look really good. But so far, we kind of had a bit of a rally, so I do want to see a little bit more upside for pound yen, see what we can do around that 192.5, 193 area. And perhaps there could be some nice entries with probably a better entry here than Euro. I might find something a little bit better here, especially if I can just enter on the 4-hour chart and then targets back to the low. But what I really like about pound yen is I'm still expecting this wick here to go, and that's all the way dating back last year, August, which I'm still expecting us to go and take out. So yeah, if we could do that, that'll be great, and the risk reward will look sensational. But we'll see if we can get the entry. But yeah, pound yen, Euro yen, keep an eye on both of them. Those are the only yen pairs which I do like at the moment. Swiss yen, CAD yen, not a big fan. Again, it's not like I don't like them altogether, just the current price action isn't quite doing it for me. Whereas pound yen, euro yen, I've got a confident read of what I expect these pairs to do next. So I'm going to focus my time on those pairs. Pound CAD, another pair which I was looking quite a lot yesterday, did break to the upside. We had that strength with pound, and a lot of pound pairs rallied yesterday, pound CAD included. We broke through the highs here. I'm still interested in the shorts, but not in the same way because we have cleared resistance there. And if price does continue and takes up the high on the left, well, again, I'll back away. That's breaking structure, not what I want to see as a seller. Because the whole idea with pound CAD and why I'm looking to sell it is because I'm expecting a bit of a top to form here for pound CAD. We've been trending to the upside for a while, taking out major highs here on the weekly chart. Again, I'm a big fan of the trend is your friend 100%, but there are times where the trend is not your friend, or the trend is coming to an end potentially, because you're not going to know necessarily where it's going to happen. It might be now, it could be a couple of weeks time, but if you can estimate that roughly the trend is closer to an end and the bigger move is trading the opposite direction, then you're kind of just waiting to take those opportunities. And in this area here, I'm not so interested about buying pound CAD anymore. We've already had a big move. We've taken out major structure to the left. Market looks very fatigued to me. I'm only interested in selling it. But if we do break through this high, then that means we probably push back to the high here. We see another rally. And then maybe on the next leg after that, there might be some nice shorts on the way back down, which I look at. But we'll have to be patient for that. But yeah, at the moment, pound CAD breaking through that area, also broke through the trend line there as well. So yeah, being a little bit more conservative with my approach to pound CAD. I'm still looking to sell it. Maybe something does form. But at the moment, not quite seeing much. Light and use these are short thing. So USDZAR, I had a look at this one yesterday. Okay, so we did see that rally then. So price had the pullback, formed the high, and then we just continued to fall. I said potentially if we were to come back to retest the resistance, that could be a nice opportunity to get into a trade if you weren't already short. But of course, price didn't give us that opportunity and continued falling. Anyway, we're at some nice areas for some buys now. This is where I thought we'll get last week, but we didn't quite manage that. So I like this zone just below us. In fact, I can refine that area a bit more on the 4-hour chart. There we go. So I like this area. Nice resistance, really nice breakout. Not much of a retest when that happens. So again, I would expect to see a bit of a bounce here. Of course, depending how price reacts, when I always mention levels that I'm looking to buy or sell from, that's one half of the story. The other half is how price gets there and how we react with the level. That also plays just as a vital role as the level which I'm buying from. So if price gets here but sees no reaction and we just see a lot of momentum, well, that's not going to do much for us. But if we can get here nice and slow, provide some wicks, maybe a really exaggerated wick and a strong shift in momentum, that gives us a lot more detail about what is likely to happen, and probably we'll see a bit of a bounce. So I like this level here, 18.4. Again, this is where all the momentum came from a few weeks back when we had that big move. We consolidated here for a few days and then ripped to the upside, and now we're coming back into that zone again. So I do expect to bounce. USDZAR overall is a bullish market, but I wouldn't be looking for a push back to highs like this. I think that's a little bit optimistic with USDZAR, especially the way we came back into highs last time and rejected it so aggressively. Not really what you want to be seeing in terms of a healthy trending market. You want price to break highs. If it does respect it, then it comes down slowly, then we continue through, not heavy rejection like we did there. So I like pound CAD to the upside, but my expectation is that we'll probably form another lower high from that. and continue our journey. So that's what I'd watch out on happening. Maybe as we approach something like this could be a nice initial target for the trade. And then maybe secondary target up there. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling for USDR. Euro Aussie, okay, we'll have a look. No problem, happy to help. So Euro Aussie, not Euro USD. Euro Aussie, I like this to the downside. I'm actually pretty bearish on Euro Aussie. I do think this market is pretty stretched and is likely to come back down and test resistance again. This is where we had a massive range. Price has since broken out of that. I am now looking for us to come back and retest the high of the range. We had a kind of a very quick retest there, but I'm looking for a much bigger one in the next coming weeks, coming days. The market's quite stretched here. Last time we had a stretched move, what happens? We came back down very, very hard. So I'm looking for something similar over here. Of course, this was COVID, so there was a bit more going on at the time, but it's the same situation. The market's had a really big rally. I do think it will be difficult for price to sustain these levels up here. So I do think we can work our way and come back down again. So yeah, 1.7 I think looks really good for price, and that's kind of my long-term target for Euro Aussie. So I'm only looking at shorting the market. At the moment, we are kind of respecting support right here, so now's not the best time to be shorting Euro Aussie. As I mentioned yesterday, if we are going to get short with this one, it's, well, there's two ways about it. Price could either pull back into resistance, so maybe something around there, and that could be a nice place to short and put a stop loss above. That probably might be the bit more, not necessarily risky, but more, you're leaving a little bit more on the line because potentially trend can continue. Price may eventually get back to 1.7, but we might still see another swing to the upside before that happens. So you need to take that into consideration. But if we can break through support here, do that well, see a lot of momentum below it, then retests of that level look really good. It's been tested numerous times as support. So if we can have a clean break, there's a good chance to hold as resistance and now give us some nice opportunities to keep shorting. I think there might be some nice short-term buys as we approach this area. A nice kind of breakout there. I do think we might see a short-term buy when we get there, but again, I only expect retracement for us to continue falling. So pretty bearish for Euro Aussie, looking for more downside. 1.7 is my longer-term target. Only interested in shorting it, really. Only interested in shorting it. But at the moment, still respecting support, so I would refrain from that for now. Matt, pound CAD is on my watch list. Also nice, looking for those highs, 1.865 to be swept and to close back within the range. See if we can get momentum candle after that. Okay, let's have a look at that one. 1.865, where is that? 865. Okay, that's roughly the highs over here. So you're looking for those highs to get swept and then close back within the range before you look to short. Nice momentum candle after that as well. So yeah, that could be a nice entry signal as well, because there probably will be a lot of stop losses above here as well. So we could go do some damage there and then potentially fall too. Yeah, I'm only interested in shorting pound CAD now, to be honest. I think the market is quite stretched. I think we're likely going to sell off. And the thing is, when we do have that sell, it probably will be a pretty big one as well. And as someone who likes to swing their trades and hold on for bigger winners, like I know you do as well, this could be a really smart opportunity to keep an eye on, because if you get it right, you're looking at a pretty big win. And that's, of course, if pound CAD does turn around. But I do think we will. Similar to Euro CAD as well. I like Euro CAD to the downside. Doesn't look quite as ripe as pound CAD, but I do think they both will probably move at a similar time and give you similar moves as well. But I do like Euro CAD to the downside as well. But this one looks a little bit harder to position myself in. So yeah, pound CAD, I do very much agree. I like the shorts. I'm keeping an eye I was looking to see if you can respect resistance here and sell, but that did not happen, of course. So now I'm just going to keep an eye and see how we maneuver. But yeah, I like the highs there, 1.865 as well. I don't want to see price break through them. Like if we see a strong close above, I'm not eyeing that up. If it's a nice wick through the level, that's a different circumstance. Okay, so let me take a look at gold for wisdom. So in terms of gold, I still like the buys. I still think there's a lot of room to the upside for gold. Yes, the market's quite stretched, and maybe this is the top for gold, and maybe we're going to head lower. But again, don't really have that much information that does tell me that, okay, this will be the top. I can see price is starting to form some lower highs, so I do think we can see some lower prices for gold, and these are the levels I'll be looking to try and see if we can buy from. I do think these lows here will be taken out. Price is really struggling to break resistance here, so I do think we roll over. And then when we get here, we can see how price reacts. Do things look good? Firing some wicks, seeing a nice shift in momentum. If we can see those signs, then yes, there could be a nice trade here. Likewise with the level just below us here at 31.60, 31.50. And then I'll see what gold can do. Possibly maybe a rally back to highs. Maybe we rally for 1 or 2 days, or maybe just continues to melt. Again, I do think gold is a stretch and a big sell is on the cards. But I need a little bit more before I do start calling shorts for gold. Because anyone who's been calling shorts for gold since pretty much Jan 2024 hasn't been doing too well. I mean, there has been some nice shorts, don't get me wrong, but they're very short term. So if you get into a nice short, you don't want to be sitting in too long, and be prepared to take your profit. Whereas longs, you can be a little bit more relaxed. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with gold for now. If Euro CAD gives head and shoulder, I'll be interested. In pound CAD isn't clean. Okay, fair enough. I think I see the head and shoulder you're talking about, which is, wait. Okay, there's two head and shoulder potentially. There's this head and shoulder, left head, and then possible kind of right shoulder. Or there's the left head and then possible right shoulder there. Of course, that will take a lot longer to map out, and a lot of stuff will happen in that time. But if you're talking about the head and shoulder there, then yeah, I can see the logic there as well. Similar to Euro USD, to be honest. Euro USD, Euro CAD, similar price action. And Euro CAD and Euro USD most of the time are quite similar anyway in their price action. So it's kind of a good thing to see that they're in line. But if you have a quick look at Euro USD, you can see head and shoulder pattern there. That potentially could give a nice sell there for Euro USD. And perhaps we could see the same pattern there for Euro CAD. So yeah, I don't mind that as well. I think we are definitely due one as well. Especially if we kind of rally back to highs here. Maybe create a new high. That could be a nice short. Again, a bit more aggressive, but I do like the idea. Everyone calling short lost subscribers. Is that for gold, Lighton? Everyone calling shorts for gold. I mean, I can see why. I've got a nice head and shoulder pattern. But yeah, I mean, if I was going to short gold, I would drop right to the lower time frames and try and see if I can catch one of these highs. So maybe if price was to rally back into resistance again, allow me to get a better stop loss. Even closer to the highs there, to be honest, that would be nice. So I can see some shorts there. I wouldn't be looking to short it now because I wouldn't be able to get a decent stop loss in. But I still like those area for some bounces. Alex, pound NSD, okay. I will take a look, no problem. Okay, for gold. Yeah, I mean, I can see the logic behind it. Because because that head and shoulder pattern does look like we probably will see a bit more downside. And again, I'm expecting more downside as well. I'm looking for price to keep falling at least back to 32.30, then 31.50 as well. So I'm expecting a bit more downside too. Am I expecting price to completely sell off? Eventually, yeah, but I'm not quite sold on that happening just yet. Not quite sold on that happening just yet. I still like the buys there. And it might be a situation where we do bounce at these areas and just forms a high and then we drop again. So that could happen as well, and that could be a nice short as well. Ahmed, check BTC. Okay, sure thing. I haven't actually looked at BTC since yesterday. Surge, no, I'm not funded with FTMO. I have my own prop fund with Elevating Traders. You can check it out. Links in the description to that, but no. Okay, BTC. So it looks like BTC is a little bit tired now, isn't it? I still like Bitcoin to the upside. I still like Bitcoin to the upside. I still like the possible retest of 88K, which is this zone here. Yeah, I still like the retest of that idea. The retest of that level there. Again, the idea is that price is broken out of this descending channel. We've committed to the upside, seeing a lot of momentum. I'm expecting us to continue to rally and targets pretty much back at the all-time highs, really. So yeah, I'm very, very bullish with Bitcoin. Yes, we're kind of stalling here, but that doesn't really do anything in terms of whether I expect price to reverse or continue. It just means we've had a big move and now we're kind of fatiguing afterwards. So possibly we see a bit of a correction, which could be a good thing to actually find some opportunities to get some trades on with Bitcoin. Unless you're buying the breakout, you want price to retrace anyway. So that could give us a nice opportunity to get into Bitcoin longs. 88K looks good. And then, yeah, I still like the idea of a pushback to 107, 108K. Not really seeing any red flags yet for Bitcoin. And yeah, this does look like a potentially bit of a low forming. So pretty bullish for Bitcoin. I think more upside is likely. Because we're still kind of struggling here, perhaps we do retrace first, which again is a good thing. I just don't want to see us crashing back down. If it's a nice kind of slow push to the downside, that's what I'll be eyeing up for Bitcoin. But then targets, of course, at least the push back to the high there, but more so 107, 108K becomes a real possibility. So yeah, pretty bullish on Bitcoin. A bit flat, yes, but doesn't really do anything. Johnny D, can you please analyze? That's Mika's favorite pair. Yeah, 100% it's my favorite pair. Aussie, New Zealand dollar, the most choppiest market you will ever see. Because again, I trade a lot of markets, so I don't really mind if a market is a bit too choppy, because I understand that there will be some good opportunities from time to time. And again, I don't want to pass that up. If it's a good opportunity, you know, I'm willing to take it, no matter really what the market is. But Aussie, New Zealand dollar seems to not really present much, to be honest. Can't remember the last time I took a position. And again, the key thing, since 2014, we've been ranging. 2014, that's over a decade. That is horrendous. Anyway, what next for Aussie, New Zealand dollar? Well, I still like the lows prices forming here. There is a bit of consistency to it because we've had one low down there, kind of like a joint second there, third, a fourth, potentially a fifth is forming. I like the way we're kind of throwing those wicks to the downside in the weekly chart. So I do think a bit of a bounce is likely. How far we go, I'm not too sure about that, to be honest. But I do think more upside is in store. So with Aussie, New Zealand dollar kind of breaking out of this descending channel here, I do think this is forming a bit of a low. So the idea would be, okay, can we pull back, form a higher low, and continue that trend there? That would be the idea. Well, bullish territory, we're seeing a bit of a breakout here. We're taking out some highs to the left. Ideally, I'd like to see more momentum in the breakout. It's kind of a bit corrective and a bit slow. But again, it's Aussie, New Zealand dollar. Can't even say the pair. That's how much I don't like it. It's Aussie, New Zealand dollar. So momentum is always a little bit tricky with this one. But it's a nice breakout-ish. And it's left behind a pretty nice level there for a long as well. So if you can see a pullback, a retest, I feel like that would be a nice place for a buy. Even if it's just a pushback to highs, if you can find an entry on maybe the hourly chart, I think that will still be a decent swing idea there. But yeah, that's about it for Aussie, New Zealand dollar. It's a nice area for a buy, I admit that, but again, just a very, very slow pair. Graduate to USD ruble. Yeah, you put me back onto that one, Lighton. No problem, Johnny. Happy to help. Matt, don't look at it, mate. Don't look at it. Wow, just wicks everywhere. Yeah, was it you, Lighton, that told me to check out USD ruble? See, look at that. Got the first swing right, but the second swing not so much. But yeah, this is horrendous. I mean, look at the price action there. I know that's when we had the peak Russia-Ukraine, so of course, horrendous stuff will happen there. But just generally speaking, look at the price action before. It's just very slow. Spread won't be great here. Swaps would be horrendous, I bet. It's just not worthwhile. To be honest, this is even a little bit better than Aussie, New Zealand dollar. At least it's got a bit of a trend to it. So I don't mind that. I mean, it's horrendous still, but I actually low-key would prefer to trade this than Aussie NZD. But yeah, you still wouldn't catch me trading that anyway. Praji. I will take a look at pound USD, no problem. I'll go through the rest of the yen pairs because I haven't done that yet, and take a look at the yen basket too, and I'll go through the indices as well. And of course, any other requests, let me know. And of course, let me know timeframes as well, if you have a particular time frame you want me to look at. But yeah, pound USD smashing its head back into resistance here. I do expect retracement for this one. I said yesterday I'm expecting retracement. We got a rally, but that hasn't changed anything. I'm still expecting retracement. I'm still expecting a bit of a drop. Even if we do break the highs with a lot of momentum, I'm still expecting price to turn around, because that's one guarantee you have in trading. Not necessarily trading, but in how markets move, especially FX markets. We don't move in straight lines. We have a push, we have a pullback. Of course, how big the pullback will be, that's a big question, because technically we've had a pullback already. It's not a big one. But I do expect a much bigger one at some point here for pound. And these areas look really, really good. 1.315, 1.3, as I mentioned, lines up pretty well for some Fibonacci levels too, especially the 1.3 level with the 0.618. So that would be ideally where I want price to head towards. But on the 4-hour chart, it looks like we're really struggling at resistance here. So I think shorts look okay here. So again, a bit more of an aggressive position. You're essentially trying to call the top in the market, but you've got a good reason to do so. Price is at major resistance, where last time we had a humongous sell. Market's quite stretched as well. So I do think it's a nice trade. But again, as we come back into structure here, I'll probably think about maybe securing some positions or move my stop to break even, just to protect my trade and protect myself in case we do turn around, because momentum can easily turn back to the buys very, very quickly. But so far, doing a pretty good job at the highs there. Again, I still like the idea of USD strength as well, so that should help the pound out. But my idea for pound is that I'm looking for something like this, for eventually something like this. So that's really my analysis. Sells for some buys. I'm more focused on the buys, but I think if you're a bit more on the lower time frames, you might still find some nice shorts there. The DXY, I'm still looking to see if we can bounce from this area. I'm looking to see if we can get a strong close on the 4-hour chart, similar to the close we had here. It doesn't have to be identical, of course, but I just want to see momentum from this area. So we had a really strong sell yesterday, and this here looks pretty corrective. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the correction for that bearish move, but I would still say that price is just about holding support here. And I'm looking for an inverse head and shoulder pattern. So this is where I would expect the right shoulder to form. So I do want to see some momentum come back into the market now. And a strong close in the 4-hour chart would signal that very, very well. So I'm hoping we can get some momentum. We've got some USD news coming up. So who knows? Maybe that's the catalyst for that. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we can see some bullish momentum now in the dollar. Pound USD 1.35 full tilt, no stop loss. Let's go. That's the way, Matt. That's the way. No stop loss, full tilt. That's the best way to do it. Because it's either going to be a big payday or it's going to be a day that you might think about hanging up your trading boots and thinking about a different career path. But yeah, I mean, I'm expecting it to pull back. The tricky thing is that, you know, you're expecting a market to pull back, so you keep kind of shorting it, but potentially the market can still move, you know, 200, 300 pips against you. So timing is a very important aspect as well. You don't want to just short because, you know, the market's overbought, overextended, it's hit a big level, because levels break all the time too. You know, levels hold, but levels do break too. So to justify selling a market that is trending well to the upside, but you expect it to eventually top out, you need to be pretty precise and be ready to get out the trade if things are not going in your favor, because maybe the trend is still going to continue. And again, the idea with trying to call tops, not necessarily tops, but just expecting price to turn around, because, you know, I'm not necessarily trying to call a top with pound or with pound CAD even. I'm just expecting us to kind of roll over, but I'm not looking to position myself right at the top of the trend. But the idea of trying to call potentially tops where they could form and trade that kind of reversal, is the idea that you could be onto a big winner, because if the market's very stretched in one way, well, to balance that out, it's going to have a pretty significant move in the opposite direction. And that significant move is the move you trade, and if you can bank a good chunk of that, well, you should be looking at a decent risk reward depending on how you take your entry. So the idea is that you're looking for bigger risk reward opportunities and position yourself well in the market for those swings. So yeah, I think shorts in pound USD could be worthwhile. Again, long term, I'm still pretty bullish with this one, so I'm not so interested in a big short. I do think we are in need of a retracement. LFTJ, what is up? Do you take some trade idea on both funded and personal account? Yes, but again, the idea with a personal account is that you have a bit more freedom, and of course you set your own rules, so you don't want to be blowing your personal account, of course not. So you want to set rigid rules for yourself, but they can be different to what you would have on a funded account, because of course, you know, you're not trading with your own capital there. So with a personal account, you can have a bit more flexibility. You know, I always would advise, you know, any trade you're going to take on a personal account or a funded account or any account needs to be of good quality. You don't want to have an account just to take because you want to. It needs to be professional. You want to take a good trade and have it there. But what I've seen some people do is they would be more aggressive on their personal accounts because they can be, and be a bit more conservative on their funded accounts. That way you can trade aggressively if you want to, but also trade, you know, kind of conservatively and a bit more professionally if you want to at the same time as well. But yeah, I keep my ideas kind of the same. I don't split it up. If I'm in a trade, it's because I back it, so I will take it on my accounts. I remember my degenerate trading days, wasted a lot of money doing it, calling tops and bottoms as a recipe for disaster. Yeah, it is. It really, really is. The thing is, you can do it well. You can call tops and bottoms well, but again, even that, you don't have to be right at the top. For example, let's say you're trying to call this bottom here for pound USD. You don't have to be here to call the bottom. You don't have to be right at the low. You can enter trades, here or even here and still, kind of catch the bottom of it. Not necessarily the bottom, but you've catched the reversal, if you guys understand what I'm trying to say here, because you're essentially catching the turning point, but without being right at the low. Because if you're trying to catch the low right down here, you're going to take a lot of losers, because you probably bought here, probably bought there, probably bought here, and so on and so forth. Luckily, eventually did turn around, but there will be cases where it does keep going, of course, and that's the times you probably end up blowing your account. But if you expect the market to bottom out soon, that's great, because if it does bottom out, it could be seeing a big move in the opposite direction. But you don't have to be the first person in the market. You can catch the next wave or the wave after that. Enter here or enter there or somewhere else. Don't have to be there. Wait for the market to show evidence of turning, and then get involved. It makes things a lot simpler as well, because maybe you're wrong about the market bottoming. Maybe it's going to keep falling another 500 pips before it does. That way, you kind of don't take any unnecessary losses if it does keep falling. But when it does eventually turn around, then you can position yourself long. And if this does bottom out, you could be capitalizing on a really big move. Of course, much easier said than done, but just by waiting for that turning point allows you to be in a much safer place. Calling tops and bottoms show me thus will never assume. I don't know what you mean by that. Want the meat and move? Yeah, of course. Again, you don't necessarily have to be at the bottom to capitalize on the meat of the move either. You can be, even 30% of the way up before the buy. Even down here, look at the swing we had. This is where price, of course, reversed. What if you entered here for the shorts? Well, you still got the opportunity to capitalize on a move. Of course, you're not to know that this is the turning point, but you still got all of that to capitalize on. But you've seen this move already. You probably think you've missed out on it. Maybe you have, but if the market is gonna top out, you're expecting a reversal where you're gonna expect to see a trend in the opposite direction. So there's no need to try and force things right at the high, even here as well. It makes sense for yourself to wait for the turn and then get involved. I think it just makes trading easier, and you can also refine your risk a bit more confidently, because you've at least got some higher lows in your favor. My boss left for vacation. Hope she ain't watching Mika too. Yeah, let's hope she's not watching. But if she is, shout out to Lighton's boss. Lauda, good morning. I hope you are well. Welcome to the stream. G on daily loves to top and bottom out around fib extensions 1.5, 1.618, or negative 0.5, 0.618, depending how you draw it. Yeah, I mean, fib, I love using fib levels as well. I do use them as a confidence for my positions. I don't always use fib extensions though. I don't know why. I've just never really looked into them, to be honest. There's no reason why I don't use them. I mean, it's because I normally target levels based on market structure, so I never really use them. because of course fib extensions are good to use for targets and they're good to use for reversals as well. But just never really use them that much. But fib levels, I always use Fibonacci 0.5, 0.618, 0.786 as well. My preferred levels to buy from or sell from. Wisdom, sell pound yen 191 250. I am looking at selling pound yen around that area. I mean 192, 193 more so, but I'll have a look for you. Good morning, John. I hope you're doing good. I am well. Hope you're good yourself. Good to hear from you. It's almost to the pip most of the time. Always blows my mind. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because, fib levels, they only work because other people pay attention to them. Well, that's kind of the theory behind it. Fib levels work because other people use them too. So you've got buyers and sellers, people looking at those levels, entering, exiting positions. So the market reacts to those areas, which I suppose so. I think that's true as well. I think there might be a bit more to it than that as well. Because if you think about it, who's using Fibonacci levels? Well, mostly retail. I don't think banks will be using fib levels, of course. I'm not a bank, so I can't say that with full certainty, but I don't think they would. So you've only got a very small amount of people using fib levels. I think retail traders only make up 2 to 3% of the market. So I think there's a little bit more to it than just that. But that's one of the reasons why fib levels do work, and they do have precision to it as well. Of course, not all the time. Nothing works all the time, but again, it's about how you use it, which really adds to the profitability of a tool. Anyway, so we'll take a look at pound yen. I'll go through the indices as well. So yeah, pound yen, I like the shorts as well with this one. I do want to see a little bit more upside though. I'm looking more so 192, 193 for shorts really. So I want to see a bit more upside than where we're trading at right now. I like the rally. It's still pretty corrective. Not really seeing much upside momentum, which is good. It means that, okay, this is where we have momentum well and truly, and this is most likely a pullback for the market. Again, if I quickly expand to the daily chart, we can see what price is doing. High, lower high, lower high. The expectation is, again, another lower high. So all I want to see is price right into this area, reject it, maybe a nice double top, see some wicks, nice shift in momentum. That's what I'll look for my entry. Stops above the high, targets back into the low here. Then if everything goes well, I'll trail stops as well back to the low here too. So I'll probably secure most of my profit here, but I'll leave some to run here as well, because I do think pound yen can see a lot lower prices. But first thing first, getting the entry, not quite where I want it to be just yet, so I would wait for us to rally a little bit more. Again, maybe we do turn around from here, but I don't really have much confidence here, and I'm not really liking the price action either. So I'd wait for a little bit more upside first before entertaining that idea, but that is really what I'm after. Yeah, in terms of the indices, so they've been a little bit bullish, haven't they? So NAS 100, that one's been a little bit bullish. We spoke yesterday about some downside, didn't really see much of it. We had a bit of a rally there, but the market's pushed up. Overall, we are quite corrective, so I do still like the shorts for NAS. I am still pretty bearish on the higher time frames. I still do think we can get a rally to the downside and swings back into the low, but we are losing some confidences. We've broken above this area here, which is, again, a big kind of worry for the sellers as well. But we are still looking pretty tired here, unless we kind of get some really bullish price action from somewhere and we manage to break through some of these highs to the left, then I'll stand corrected with NAS. If that happens, I would be pretty bullish at that point, expecting pullbacks and then more upside. And then, yeah, a push back to the all-time highs pretty much if that was the case, but we haven't done that yet. So I'm still looking as turning around. The key thing I want to see is a push back below this area here, and a strong one too. And that could probably provide some nice shorts shortly afterwards. S&P, same situation there as well. looking tad bullish, but again, still really corrective on the way up, not really seeing much momentum. So again, I do think price is just correcting itself to eventually drop as well. This one, again, looks like it's trying to break through some structure here. Hasn't quite broken through it yet, but looking like it's trying to anyway. Again, judging how price is moving, how corrective we are, I do think we're likely to turn around here. Again, for S&P, I do want us to see price take out some of these highs if I am going to be bullish on the S&P. At the moment, I'm still liking the idea of some sells, and US 30 likewise as well. I mean, this one's not actually trading at structure just yet, so maybe we can push the upside one more time, see what we can do there, and perhaps from there we might get a sell as well. So I still like the shorts here. The only thing I don't like about the shorts is how the monthly candles are potentially going to close. US 30 is not that bad. It's a okay bearish candle, but a pretty big wick to the downside as well, which is not particularly great for the sellers. US 500, this one again, humongous wick to the downside there. Again, it's not the end of the world because we could still see the next candle open up and go and fill the wick. That's a real potential move. If May was bullish and we close above this wick high, then yeah, that would be quite significant. But yes, a humongous wick. Again, sign of rejection, but I could still expect the price to fill the wick there. And likewise with NAS 100. This one has left a big wick to the downside, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if we do turn around and fill the wick. If May, however, does push up and close bullish, then that's when I'll actually start saying, okay, that's looking like a bottom. We probably will push back to the high. But there are some red flags on the monthly chart as well. So I'd watch out for that. But yeah, for the indices, for the most part, I'm still pretty bearish. I like the sells here. I do think there's a lot of room to the downside too, with the way how correctively, grinding higher. I do think we can see some nice sells. Wisdom, your best pair. So between pound USD and pound yen, my best pair, I probably would say it's probably pound yen actually. Pound yen probably just edges it. Those are my most profitable markets. But then again, I do trade quite a lot, so they are technically my most profitable, but it's not like I trade them a lot. Like I probably would trade them probably no more than like 6 or 7 times in a year, which is not a lot. But again, I trade over 30 markets, so if you do the maths there, I've got other pairs which I'm trading, and I don't focus predominantly more on pound USD and pound yen. If there's a good opportunity in pound USD, pound yen, I'm all over it. But if there's like an okay opportunity pound USD, but then Aussie JPY looks great, I'm obviously going to take Aussie JPY there. Yeah, pound USD, pound yen are my most profitable. But I like pound yen because it moves pretty quickly, and it gives some decent swings too, bigger than what pound USD will offer. So I like that pair because of that. But yeah, I feel like things will go out of sync because I could trade for another year. Then maybe my most profitable pair is Aussie dollar because they had some nice trends of that at that time. Price action was pretty clean. I'm not very so much market oriented focused. I'm more kind of focused on the opportunity itself, how good the price action looks. That's really where I want to put my focus on, because pound USD might be really nice. The climate might be really nice for a good 3-6 months, and that could be really good for me. But then for the next 3 to 6 months, maybe it's horrendous. So there's no point in me getting all comfortable with pound USD if the next 6 months for me are not going to be great. Whereas maybe USD JPY looks really good for the next 3 to 6 months, so that's where I want to focus next. So it always comes back down to the opportunity I'm trading, the quality of it, the price action of it, the risk reward. That's really where I want to focus on. So best pair, worst pair, I don't really pay attention to. I mean, if Aussie New Zealand dollar gives me a good opportunity, I'll still take it, to be honest. I just don't like that pair because it doesn't give me many opportunities in the first place, and it does correct a lot. But yeah, I'm very focused on the setup itself rather than the pair, which is giving me the setup. A lot of people kind of advocate, focus on one or two or maybe three pairs at a time. I think that's good advice, but that's if you're very kind of on the lower time frames, like maybe 5 minute and below. Even like 15-minute chart, I think maybe 5 pairs is good. But if you're going to work on like the hourly or the full hour trade, you're probably going to have a lot more that you're looking at, because there will be times throughout the year where conditions will be not ideal to whatever conditions you are ideal for you, whether trending or corrective markets. And you'll be sitting on your hands, and that'll be a time where you feel like you might kind of need to get a trade in. You haven't probably traded in a week or two, maybe you need to force something, and you just take a couple rubbish trades unnecessarily. But if you have that kind of situation where you can look at different markets, say, okay, this is doing well already, now let's focus on this one. But then again, the disadvantage of that is that you need to be super disciplined, because if you're not disciplined, it means you would just take any trade you'll see, and you could easily overtrade. You might have like 3 or 4, 5 positions at one time, just because there are 3 or 4 or 5 good opportunities. You want to miss out on all of them, so you take them all. You need to be able to manage that as well, because if you don't, then you can go down a very slippery slope. And a good way to manage that, if you're going to have a lot of pairs you're going to look at, create a watch list for the upcoming day, or create a watch list for the upcoming week. For example, I've got about 32 pairs I look to trade, but before each week starts, I kind of roughly know between 5 and 8 pairs which I'm actually likely to actually get a trade on and actually focus my efforts on. And most of the time, only about 2 of those actually do give me a setup for the week. Sometimes I might get 4 or 5. Sometimes I might take 4 or 5 trades in a week. Sometimes none map out, and then I leave. I don't take any positions that week. But on average, I'll probably say out of the 5 to 8 I'm looking at, about 2 will give me a setup. So that's how I kind of stay on top of my trade frequency and not overdo things. Because if I scan through every market every morning, it can kind of get a little bit exhausted, because you kind of forget what one market is doing. You might miss a trade here and there, so you want to be focused. LFTJ, what do you do when not trading? Sometimes I hit my take profit at 8 a.m. and just thinking what to do. My friends are at work. I mean, a good thing to do is, if you're kind of done for the day, or you're not trading today, or whatever the circumstance, is look back over your previous trades. That's always a good way to kind of spend your time if you're focusing on kind of wanting to improve your trading. If you want to kind of just forget about trading and do something else, then do something else. I like going to the gym or spending time outside, so that's kind of what I want to be doing if I want to get my head away from the charts. But if I want to focus on the charts and improve my trading, but of course not focus too much on the live markets, then all I would do is look back over my previous trades, and look at it through like a fresh lens, especially kind of like old trades like a year ago. See kind of what I was doing a year ago, and seeing if I can spot any reoccurring mistakes or any new mistakes I didn't spot before. That's a good way to spend your time, because that way you're still working, you're still improving, just not actively, of course, looking for trades. Do you trade every day? No, not really. No, I'm a swing trader. I don't trade every day. Pavinator, what is up, my man? I hope you are well. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Have you done Aussie dollar? Yes, but I can take a look at that for you. No problem. I know you do like your Aussie dollar. Happy to help. No problem. Since my loss 2 weeks ago, I'm now waiting on the next setup. Cool. So yeah, Aussie dollar, I like it. We spoke about that previously, but I do think there's probably a nice sell for a nice buy later on, because my expectation with Aussie dollar is that there's a big up move on the cards here. I'm expecting 0.655, 0.66, potentially 0.665. I'm expecting rallies in that direction over the next few days, few weeks. But first things first, I do want to see a retracement. So that's really what I'm kind of hoping we can see happen. But I've been hoping for that to happen for the past 2 weeks now, and it hasn't happened yet. But it does look like we're getting some signs that the retracement is about to happen, especially last night's rejection. Price rallied into the level, massive wick piercing through the zone. We've pulled back and closed pretty bearish. This is a clear sign to me that the market is really fatiguing, and the buyers are running out of steam, and perhaps we could be looking at a bit of a sell there. So I do think there could be some shorts on Aussie dollar, but from a short-term point of view, I feel like the bigger move is to the upside. So it depends what you're after. If you're looking for a trade for the day, then I would be more focused on the shorts. If you're looking to hold a trade for a few days, maybe a couple of weeks if things go really well, I think the buys is something to really consider. The levels I'm looking to enter from is 0.632 and 0.62425 down there. Those are the two levels I will consult for some entries, depending on how things look at the time. But yeah, Aussie dollar looks like it's running out of steam. I do think we can see a drop here, and then yeah, looking to buy it back up. So that's the setup I'm eyeing up in Aussie dollar. Same thing with NZD USD as well. Very similar pairs. So I'm expecting similar things. We've already had a pretty big rally here with New Zealand dollar, but I still think there's more to give as well. So I like the buys there with NZD USD, but just waiting for price to come to me. Looks like it's slowly happening, but I still need a little bit more. You think buy entry at 0.63595? 0.63595. So that's roughly around here. I'm not the biggest fan of that, to be honest. Wait, let me get a bit more precise. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that, because I feel like this is just a range. The market has basically come back into resistance and really failing at it. Market's had a massive rally and it looks very fatigued and very tired. So I do expect us to flush the downside and take out these lows, because that's where liquidity will lie, and that's where price will probably get the energy it needs to actually then continue. So I'm actually looking for these lows to be taken out because we're quite tired. I feel like if you are looking to buy here, yes, it does look like a nice level of support there. So we could see a reaction. And of course, I could be wrong as well. Maybe the price does bounce there to continue. But I wouldn't be looking at anything crazy, because the market's already quite overbought. We're struggling at resistance. I don't want to keep buying this market now, especially if you're going to have a long-term outlook. If you're looking for a short-term buy here, maybe for a day, an intraday position, yeah, probably get away with that depending on how price reacts. But I would rather wait for price to come a little bit deeper, take out these lows, and then look to push on, because that will help fund the actual move to the upside. Because the idea, the way I'm looking at price is that we've had a big move, we're tired now, so I want us to retrace. A push here technically is a retracement, just not a very big one, and I would expect a bit more downside from Aussie dollar before pushing back up again. So yeah, I think it's a nice level for a buy, but I'll keep it very short term, intraday. If you're looking for a meaningful swing, by meaningful swing I mean like a few days potentially, then I don't think that's the best place to position yourself. I think if price will come a little bit deeper than that, that'll be a bit more appropriate for the swing. But again, most levels in the market you would get a reaction at. The key thing is how long for. Price, for example, price came back into resistance here. Okay, had a massive sell, price came back into resistance. You saw a bit of a reaction here, you saw a bit of a reaction there, another bit of a reaction there, and then we went and broke through the level. So technically we did see a reaction from this level. It did provide some nice short opportunities, but only for about a day at a time. A day there, a day there, a little bit of a day there, then we broke through. So you still got some decent reactions from the level, but it didn't hold eventually. And most levels, you will get some type of reaction like that. It's just about how long for, how long does it hold? Is it just going to be for a day, or is it going to be for a long time? Are we really going to bounce from those levels? So this is the type of level where I expect something like that to happen. And these are the type of levels where I expect a much bigger continuation. So that's my expectation for Aussie dollar for now. James, I'm in UJ longs. Nice. When did you enter the longs? Is that recently? Hello, by the way. What's up, James? Hope you're well. No problem, Havinator. Happy to help. Hopefully I can get into an Aussie dollar position as well and join you. I like this to the upside. So you're in at 142, you're targeting 146. Okay, looks like we're seeing some momentum here. It looked a little bit dry this morning, but I know it still looks pretty dry actually. I thought we had a bigger push than that. So yeah, I do like the buys for UJ. I mentioned this, yeah, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. I like the buys here. Price support taking that across, kind of looking for like a nice inverse head and shoulder pattern to form. There's your left, there's your head, and of course there's your right shoulder. So I was looking to see if price can come here, respect this level, and then we can look for the buys. It hasn't been much of a rejection, so I did say this morning I would like to see price can have one last move back into support, maybe provide a nice little wick there, then I can use that to my advantage. A nice double bottom, plus a big wick, plus a nice shift of momentum. I just wanted to see a better entry signal than we got over here. But so far it looks to be holding. You said you entered at 142, so that's roughly around the low here. And you're targeting 146, which is around there. So I bet the risk to reward in that position is looking pretty nice. So far momentum's pretty good. I like the location for the entry right at the low here, kind of anticipating that right shoulder, that higher low to form. And the key thing about UJ on the higher time frames is that we've already respected a pretty big level in the higher time frames, which is this 140 mark. You can see there initially, big rejection, price flew to the upside. We did it again. We did it again over there, and we did it again over there as well. Well, so far we haven't really seen much upside just yet, so that's not there yet. But yeah, I like the idea. I like where we're positioned. I do think there can be some upside there for dollar yen. Matt, copper from 4.95-ish, looking appealing if price reacts short term. Okay, I'll have a look and see. Yeah, hopefully it plays out. James, is your target like 146, or do you have like a primary target, or are you just going to hold completely to 146? Depending if risk reward is worth it. Okay, let's have a look at copper. It's been a while since I've checked out copper, to be fair. I don't look at it in my personal trading, so I don't really keep up to date with the price action. But I'm definitely interested. So, okay, so copper is giving me silver vibes here, which is the massive sell, big recovery, but hasn't quite recovered it just yet. And is slowly running out a bit of steam right now, similar to what silver is doing at the moment. But you said you're looking to... Okay, that is your primary target. Okay. What's the risk reward of that position, James? That looks like a huge one. Okay, so 1.495. Okay, so in this gap here. So yeah, I like the idea. Price fills the gap, probably has a bit of a reaction. Yeah, I think with copper, it's my same kind of worry with silver, which is that I think copper still can rally to the upside, take out highs and continue. Same thing with silver as well, especially with how this monthly candle is going to close, which closes on Wednesday, yeah, tomorrow. I do think looking at silver as well, we're getting a similar vibe here, which is big wick to the downside, price pulls back. I do think we can start to rally here. But of course, we are respecting some areas of supply, and of course, copper, we've got that big gap which we're about to fill too. The big gap we're about to fill too. So I do think we can see some downside, but my expectation is that it will be a bit of a relief for this bullish move here. But I'll be expecting a higher low to form for us to continue back to highs. So I would be a bit careful of that happening. Of course, I'm not too sure how big of a move it could be. It could be that, it could be half that, it could be double that. But because you had a massive sell and prices just erased that very, very quickly, it leads me to believe that copper is probably going to eventually get back to highs here at some point. But again, now's not the time to be buying it. Same situation with silver. Now's not the time to be buying silver either. With silver kind of slowly and sluggishly moving back into supply there. I want silver to have a bit of a relief first. Likewise with copper, form a higher low, and perhaps that's when we get into a buy. Maybe we can get back to this area here. Might be a nice opportunity. Likewise with copper there too. You might see a nice rally, maybe into this area, and that could be a nice place for a buy. So my longer term bias for both of them is still a push back to highs 5.2. I think because of how they're moving, how sluggishly they're moving, we probably will get a nice sell for them, especially in the lower time frames. Maybe a nice wick through the high there, like so, and then a rejection that could provide a nice short. But I'm just expecting this to head forever. But again, if you're looking for a trade for maybe a couple days, even a bit longer than that, I feel like you can get a decent trade there. But I like the buys a little bit more because that's where I see price going longer term. But it's pretty much the same idea as silver. What's up, DT Peace? Hope you're well. Good morning. I'm having a good morning. Thank you. Hope you're doing good as well. I might leave some position to run a little higher. Okay, nice. Okay, 1 to 3. Okay. I mean, that's still a great risk reward. 1 to 3s are still great. I know on social media you see some people hitting like 1 to 17s, and it makes your 1 to 3 seem absolutely tiny. But again, trading as much as it is on the charts and finding good entries and managing positions well, it's also a game of maths as well. With the correct win rate, with the correct risk reward, you've got profitability. I think with a 1 to 2 risk reward, you need at least 40% roughly around there for profitability. For 1 to 3 risk reward, on average, you need at least 30% win rate roughly around there. 1 to 5 risk reward, you need a 20% win rate. So, of course, 1 to 17, well, you can probably get away with like a 6 or 7% win rate mathematically. So yeah, you don't need anything spectacular to be profitable, because that's our aim. Profitability. Of course, we want to be very profitable and perform to the highest of our potential, but you have to go through hurdles. You can't just go from an average trader to amazing overnight. You have to go through the levels there as well. And my focus has always been, if you're making money, well, trading is a success. At least you're doing that, which a lot of people do struggle in doing. So once you kind of tick that box, and then you can look to, okay, how can I tweak things? How can I maximize things in terms of making a little bit more of my winners, losing a little bit less of my losers, losing a little bit less often, winning a bit more often, and you can play with that and increase that over time. But again, once you got that kind of ratio between your win rate and your risk to reward, as long as you can do that with some consistency, then you can build. You don't need anything crazy. 1 to 3 R is my minimum. Fine, 1 to 2 R is a knife edge. 1 to 17, these are the TikTok traders, 100%. If you know, you know. Yeah, I've definitely seen a few of that. I saw one time, it was like a 1 to like 80 something, 1 to like 85 or something like that. This was a while ago, probably like 2 or 3 years ago. It was like a 1 to 83, like they had their entry on like the 30-second time frame. It had like a massive target. And I'm like, hey, that's not even trading at this point in time. I don't even know what that is. I don't think that's trading. That's just weird stuff. Because no one's doing that. No one's targeting 1 to 85. That's like, yeah, that's doesn't make any sense. There's no consistency in that. Because you be telling me that, okay, if your target is a 1 to 85, if it gets to like 1 to 67 and it turns around from there, are you going to allow a 1 to 67 turn back to break even or a loss? So, yeah. If my trade literally goes to TP without a drawdown, technically I have 1 to infinity. So that's the profitable risk reward there, 1 to infinity. Yes, Wisdom, I'm in a Euro Yen position. I hopped in yesterday evening when the daily candle closed on the daily chart. It's more of a long-term position. Ideally, I wanted to have entered on the 4-hour chart, but the 4-hour candlesticks were looking not great at all. You can kind of see you had this kind of sluggish reaction. I was looking for a more meaningful entry, which I didn't get, so I expanded to the daily chart, got a nice bearish engulfing candle at this high. Again, the idea is that I'm looking for a third lower high in this sequence. One over there, second over there. I'm looking for a third. Price managed to push back into resistance. I've got my stop loss above the highs there. I'm looking to see if I can capitalize on a swing back into lows, and hopefully a lot further as well. I think we can go further. I'm looking at a big head and shoulder pattern on the higher time frames here. Left head, right shoulder, and at least looking for a push back into support here. So yeah, that's the position I'm currently in. I've been eyeing up pound CAD. I've been eyeing up pound yen as well. Those boys are not quite set up just yet, but maybe this week later on they might set up. I don't mind entering pound yen, even though it's another yen pair, because hopefully my entry will be in the 4-hour chart, so it'll be a little bit more refined. Euro yen, I've got quite a big stop loss because it's on the daily chart, so I don't mind getting involved again, but I'm keeping an eye on this one for a sell. Pound CAD, I'm still keeping an eye on that one for a sell too. Not quite ready yet, but I think it's shaping up. It did break through that resistance, which I didn't like, but that doesn't necessarily change my bias, so just keeping a close eye on that. But likelihood of things happening come into play too. Yeah, of course. 185 must have been Michael Telesoup set up. No, I don't think it was him. It was someone else. It was like an ad. It was an ad on Instagram. It was on Euro USD. But I don't think it was that. But yeah, I know that he does very big risk reward as well. But I think the main focus is you're focusing on whatever can provide you profitability. Of course, if you can have a 1 to 85 risk reward, well, you can afford to take 84 losses in a row. Well, not 84 losses, because if you do take the 85th win, you'll probably still be down on maybe swap and commission, to be honest. But you could probably still get away with 80 losers and still walk away with a profit there. So the idea is that the higher the risk reward, of course, the less you have to win to compensate for that. I think there's a balance to it as well, because if you have very high risk rewards, your win rate naturally will be a lot lower, because the market has to cover a lot more distance to hit the risk reward. So even if you have a great setup, it's just mathematically the likeliness of price fulfilling that bigger risk reward will be less likely than a risk reward of, let's say, 1 to 1. So your win rate naturally will be a lot lower. But if you have a good risk reward, then you can afford to lose less. And likewise, if you're going to have a smaller risk reward, you need to win a little bit more. If you can find a healthy balance, then you're good to go. You guys don't make 85R before the end of London session every day. No, not quite, mate, Ben. I'm only still doing 45R. I'm not quite in your level yet. Not quite an 85R before the end of London session. I know some people are doing 85R at the end of the Asian session. Have you woken up and they're still doing ridiculous R there? Yeah, anyway, I've actually gone through the yen pairs. Again, I'm not really a big fan of the other yen pairs. The only yen pairs I do like is GJ and Euro yen. Sounds. I might need to, Ben. I might need to get you on the stream, and you can show us the way of getting 85R before end of London, before you've even made breakfast. I'm actually look at the yen basket. So yen basket is looking a little bit tired, to be honest. I still like this to the upside, but it is looking a little bit fatigued, which might mean a little bit more downside still for the yen. I still think we are likely to go and take out the wick high here, but we're having a lot of trouble here with the wicks there, which is not great. We've had a bit of a move down recently, a bit of a reaction. Let's see if that can continue. I did say last week I still like the possibility of a retest of this area, but we'll see if that does come into fruition or not. Maybe the market is forming a bottom now. Maybe we do push down and push up. But my bias is still bullish. Whether we push from now or push a little bit later, I still like the buys here for the yen basket. As long as we don't take out this low, as long as that low stays respected, then yeah, I'm bullish, expecting the high there, 73.61 to be taken out. So it's still pretty bullish. Most markets seem to be stuck in a range. You might be waiting on some data to come in before, making a move either way. Yeah, I would agree. We got a lot of a lot of events this week, so hopefully we could see some reactions to those news events later this week. But I do agree. There is a few markets that are quite stale. A lot of USD markets are quite stale. For example, Euro USD flat, hasn't gone anywhere really. Had a bit of a rally yesterday, but didn't really do too much. It's kind of back to square one right now. Pound USD did. I think pound was a bit strong yesterday, so that had its moment in the sun, but didn't really do too much. We're back at resistance. Looks like we're struggling there. Aussie dollar pretty flat. New Zealand dollar pretty flat. Dollar CAD pretty flat as well. So a lot of markets are flat, especially USD. If I take a look at the dollar's pretty flat too. Surprise, surprise. So not a lot of movement there. But I feel like because we're taking our time here, we're not really seeing much aggressive behavior. This could be another sign that potentially a bottom is forming here for Aussie dollar. I keep saying Aussie dollar today. For the dollar DXY, So perhaps that is a sign that maybe dollar strength is coming back into the market. I'm going to see some retracement. Because we're no longer getting those big kind of flash crashes anymore. We did get a little one yesterday, but again, didn't amount to much. So I do think we're running out of steam here and likely to push up. Bank of Japan, yeah, you got Bank of Japan interest rate as well this Thursday. And then NFP as well. Lovely stuff, lovely stuff. Surprise rate high, Bank of Japan send your EG shorts 85R. Do you know how crazy 85R would have to be? Because my stop loss for that position is 222 pips. So 85 times 222. That's going to be the trade of the century. I think I'll probably just retire after that happening, to be fair. What do I think about NFP? Again, it's just another news event. I mean, it's going to cause, hopefully cause some movement. Sometimes NFP can be very anticlimactic and nothing happens really. Maybe a bit of fluctuation here and there, but nothing really happens. Again, I'm not really mainly focused on the event itself. I'm more focused on what the event does to the market. How does it react? Do we sustain price? Does momentum continue? Does it fade? That's really what I'll be after with NFP. I'm not really looking to judge anything with NFP in terms of whether it be bullish or bearish. I'm not really too bothered because either I'm right or either I'm wrong. I'm still going to be focused on the price action afterwards. So, I mean, I know what I'm looking for in the dollar, which is some strength for the dollar. Maybe NFP could be the catalyst for that. But I'll see come the day, really. Yeah, I'm not really looking to kind of predict anything beforehand. But hopefully, because I'm working on something that could look to do that in the future. Not necessarily predict, but more kind of show probabilities and how price reacts to this different news events and how we could use that in our trading as well. So we'll see how that comes in the future. But at the moment, I'm just looking at the price action afterwards. NFP will be a fade event. I think that would be nice. That would be nice if it could be a nice spike. Ooh, I put a nice idea in my mind, actually. If dollar could kind of spike lower and leave a big wick behind, that could be the catalyst that does bring us to the upside. Because that one last flush will then invite a lot of sellers back in and could trap them on the wrong side, and then we push up again. That could be a nice idea, actually, and of course that could translate to a nice push on euro or push on pound or Aussie dollar or whatever pair. To be honest, whatever USD pair. That could be a nice idea, actually. Yeah, of course we'll have to see what actually happens because the exact opposite could happen as well. Wisdom, Euro USD, okay, I'll take a look. The FU candle is what I'm looking for on GU. The FU candle. I mean, that's a nice little technical pattern there. Just put that in a textbook. So Euro USD. Am I on Euro? Yes, I am. What are the odds? So yeah, for Euro, I'm expecting some downside. This market is stretched. I feel like I've just been saying this for the past couple of weeks now. Same thing, which is market stretched, likely to pull back, very overextended, taking up major highs on the weekly chart, as we can see on the left there. So we definitely need to see a pullback at some stage. We're not going to keep pushing. If you look back through price action, we do have retracement. Even this one was so aggressive. There was frequent pullbacks within that. And then when it eventually did have a pullback, it was a huge pullback. Pretty much did a good 40-50% of that move. So eventually we'll have that correction. We can see prices tiring. You can see last week's candle as well. Nice spike to the upside, close bearish. I do think downsides on the cards, and I have mapped out a couple of areas where we could get to before we continue to buy. In the meantime, I think there could be some nice shorts. I've talked about this head and shoulder opportunity here. There's your left, there's your head, and of course, that would be your right shoulder. So I would like a nice rally into that zone. I know we kind of had that, but we've kind of missed it, to be honest. Again, the market isn't perfect, so we might not actually see the second rally there. This could be it, but it would be nice if we could spike into that zone, 1.145, and then look for some shorts around there. And again, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You can just take it back into support here. That looks like a nice trade itself, especially if you can enter maybe like the hourly or the 50-minute chart. That could be a really nice trade in itself. But if this is going to retrace, if this is going to top out temporarily, then I do expect a lot more downside. 1.115 is where I'm looking for price to get to. And then from there, I'm looking to see if I can buy it back up and take it back to where it came from. But for now, this is my bias for pretty much all the USD pairs, which is dollar strength coming in, expecting retracement. Same thing for Aussie dollar, expecting retracement. This one's actually starting to bleed a little bit there. Pound USD as well, expecting retracement, so I moved down. Dollar CHF, that one's been very oversold. I expect more upside there as well. Mine's gone blank. I've covered the USD pairs pretty much. Dollar CAD too. Not as clean, but I'm expecting retracement for a move down as well. So yeah, dollar strength is what I'm anticipating. I think it is. I think we're likely to see it. Anton, gold business. You asked me to take a look at gold there, or I don't understand the business part of things there. But yeah, for gold, I'm still keen on the buys. If we can get back to 32.20, 31.60, 31.50, I still think there could be a decent buy there. I think on the lower time frames, shorts still look good right now. If we can push back to resistance, I mean, I wouldn't enter now as a now, but if you can push back to the high, that would be a nice place for a stop. Kind of still playing with that head and shoulder idea. And if you can still respect it, I would imagine we've got a good chance of rolling over. So, yeah, I still think there's a bit more downside left on gold. I still think we're still in that uptrend. I am looking for a big move for gold at some point. Maybe it's already on its way. I'm not quite convinced just yet. But these are some nice areas where we did consolidate and had a really big rally. Price hasn't come back to retest that yet. This will be the first time. And of course, we've got this high over here, which again, similar massive breakout. This will be the first time that price does come back for a retest. So I do think we can get bounced there as well. And again, the idea of gold, buying gold, is that we could really rally. Really have a big move. 5-minute chart. I'm not a fan of the 5-minute because we're kind of in a bit of a consolidation right now. So there's not a lot going for me. I mean, I wouldn't mind some buys down here actually. This is where we had a brief pause and a really big rally there to the upside. So I wouldn't be against a buy here, especially because we're quite corrective on the way down and this is quite impulsive. We've broken some structure to the upside there as well. So that kind of puts things into perspective. A nice impulsive break implies that strength is coming to the market from the buyers. Slow move down. This could be a nice place for a buy. I'm not sure about a swing back to highs again. We are still very sideways, so I'll try and be in and out the trade pretty quickly. But in terms of a nice location for a buy, 3,300 looks pretty good there. But yeah, I still like the buys a little bit further down for gold. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much sums up where I'm at. So just still looking to short Euro Yen. I mean, I'm shorting Euro Yen, so just going to be managing that position. I'll see what I can do with Pound Yen as well, because I wouldn't mind hopping into that one as well, but that's nowhere near ready yet. I mean, if it falls from here, it falls from here. I'm not really interested in that. But if it does rally to 192.5, well, then I've got something to look at. Nice area of supply on the daily chart. If we retest that, if I can get a nice refined entry on the 4-hour chart, that's beautiful to me. And also keep an eye on Pound CAD. I think this has still got a way to go to the downside. I'm not quite sold on this big bullish move here. I feel like it might be anticlimactic in terms of maybe trapping some buys there before we do flush the downside. So I'm keeping an eye on that. I still like pound CAD to the downside. And then, of course, you got your USD pairs, which I'm still looking to buy, but I do need some pullbacks. And hopefully we are seeing the pullbacks at the moment. Nice solid rejection there for the dollar. Perhaps a pullback is on its way. But that pretty much sums up where I'm at. Of course, I will be live again tomorrow, guys. So if you have enjoyed today's stream, found it useful, enjoyed it, tune in again tomorrow. I will be live from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, pop in, come say hi and chat with us. I do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in today's stream and chatting with myself today. If you did enjoy it, leave a like on your way out. It does really help out and helps push the content. So I do really appreciate that, guys. And of course, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell too, and also check out the Discord link. Completely free to join. You can chat with other traders, share ideas there, chat with myself there too. So if you are interested, check it out. Links in the description to the Discord link as well. But no, I won't be with Nick today. I'm with Nick on Thursday. I normally join Nick on Thursdays. So yeah, check out that stream. That'll be on Thursday as well. But yeah, guys, thanks for coming on today. Have a great rest of the day. Stay safe in the markets. Drop a like before you leave. I do really appreciate that. But besides from that, guys, take care, and I hope to see you tomorrow.